Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast presented by Zwift for the Tour de France Stage 6 Recap Bash to Longwy. 220k is the longest stage of this year's Tour de France, with 3 punchy climbs at the end and a hilltop finish. 1604% to kick it off. In fact, 4 climbs. And then 2.3, 4.3%, 800 meters at 11%. No flat in between any of these, by the way. And then the religious hill is what it's called. No more French isms from me. I'm just doing direct translations. The religious hill, 1600 meters, 6%. Who would ordain it? And I think today might have been the death of my Jumbo-Visma optimism. It might have died today.
Oh
but
my God.
yeah, I know. Am I the last one standing? But yeah, I thought Break would win, Benji. I thought this was a Schkerns, Quinton Hermans. Oh wait, they didn't bring him because Intermarché didn't want to win with Hermans. Sort of Breakaway Moritz today, and it did look like that for a bit until the yellow jersey got involved.
Yes, certainly. It looked like Wout van Aert was trying to get in the breakaway, and I think I spoke with you about it yesterday. I was thinking about what Jumbo could do on a stage like this to try and get back the time they lost yesterday with Roglic, for example. And you brought up on the podcast when it comes to in the final do something with Roglic. I was thinking, what are they going to do with Wout van Aert? If that's the case, if they're going for Roglic, I was like, are they going to put him in the breakaway? And I feel like if you can put Wout van Aert in a breakaway, a large breakaway where there's basically enough riders to keep the breakaway going without him putting his soul into that breakaway, then it's a good idea to have that happen. But it started becoming a sunk cost fallacy throughout. But hey, let's talk about it. Wout van Aert keeps responding to attacks. Even at certain points, he starts initiating attacks. And I think in total throughout this stage, I've seen about 50 moves of Wout van Aert trying to force a breakaway. Is that an exaggeration?
Bear in mind, there's the traditional break we expected up the road with Schkerns and 2 others, an Intermarché rider, but they're not getting much leash. So that there had been an original break at this point, and Wout was forcing it in the cross tailwind, creating splits. Obviously, UAE, Benji, they didn't seem keen on letting him in the break. I didn't really know why, to be honest.
Yes, certainly. When you think about Wout van Aert, I at least don't see him as a GC threat for the likes of a UAE. Yes, last year on stage 7, that panic was there when it comes to UAE, but I expected them to have learned from that and to allow him to go in the breakaway, perhaps keep a tempo in the peloton and sustain that. And we saw that the rushes of Wout van Aert at the front of the group was dropping certain riders from the team of UAE. Hirschi has not been great this last week, was dropping off the back. George Bennett doesn't seem to be okay right now after his crash, I think yesterday on the cobbles. So those 2 riders were dropping on the same moment as a Mathieu van der Poel very early in the stage. And that will be an important factor in the response of UAE from this point onwards, because Wout van Aert kept going. And the response of UAE was that they had 3 or 4 riders in a way where they would try and close any gap that happens at the front of the peloton. So let's say that Van Aert gets away with 3 riders. There's a UAE rider closing that. And then there's 7 riders in that UAE rider's wheel, a small gap. Another UAE rider will try and close that gap. And they're trying to keep the peloton together in that way. Whether that's accidental or not, well, they kept on doing it. So I'm guessing it's some kind of strategy to keep the peloton together at that point in the race. But it started looking like one by one, the UAE riders were not there anymore. And it came down and down. And we had points where McNulty and Pogačar were the only ones left when it comes to UAE to actually do the controlling here. And there was one moment where Wout van Aert gets into an attack, has a bit of a gap, and Pogačar, together with, I think, McNulty, I'm not sure if that was the rider from UAE, they bridge it together. And then Wout van Aert keeps it up for a bit, because he probably hadn't realized Tade's in the back of this breakaway that I'm riding away with. Was a bit of an echelon section as well, so gaps in the peloton were forming there. But then he went to the back, Wout van Aert. He probably got the call of the team radio, like, mate, Pogačar's in your wheel. Probably not great to ride here. But what did you think that the strategy of UAE was to try and keep this together?
UAE wanted to win the stage. Pogačar's a shark, killer instinct. His biggest rival, I think, was Roglic, not Jonas. He knows he can beat Jonas. TT, no problem. Final TT, he'll beat him. Mountains, out Pyrenees. He thinks he can crack him. Jonas is nervous. To me, Pogačar all day was trying to kill Roglic for good. He was looking back. Is Roglic on the wrong side of this split? Second last climb today. Is Roglic on the wrong side of this split? I'll attack. And all day. And Jumbo-Visma were helping him do that by having Roglic on the other side. Bear in mind, Roglic just crashed hard yesterday, replaced his shoulder. So Jumbo-Visma basically spent half their team trying to get Wout van Aert in a break today, keeping the pace very high for 80 kilometers, with Roglic having to close a lot of gaps himself and Jonas. That's what happened at the start of the stage. And even when what I thought was a great outcome, perfect outcome. Now, obviously, I said yesterday, if Roglic feels good, we don't know his condition, but if he feels good, strike back, Wout, lead him out with Benoit and Co. on the final climb to, get him some bonus seconds and some morale. If that's off the table and Laporte goes into a rouleur stage 19 style break with Pedersen and Co., happy days. That's going to get 7 minutes. I think most of the teams were represented, but Laporte wasn't riding Benji because they wanted Wout to get in the break. And so that perfect breakaway, which means that Jumbo don't have to pace all day. UAE were in it with Staker Langen or whoever, doesn't matter. They won't have to pace, and they bring that back. Wout eventually goes again with Fulsang and Quinn Simmons, the young American rider.
Well, I want to bring one more scenario first before we get to the Fulsang and Simmons group, and that's where we've got a scenario where Wout and Vingegaard and Poggi are in a group together, and Roglic is caught behind. And that's the thing you brought up earlier. That's a scenario that you brought up earlier. That's a moment where Wout was even pacing a bit too long to my taste. He might not have known that Poggi was there, but I think he saw it at some point. Then he started rolling attacks on Poggi in that group while Roglic was still behind, and that keeps that group ahead of Roglic as well. So, I don't know, it was like they tried a bit too much to try and get away from Roglic there with Vingegaard, that it started hurting Roglic probably more in the group behind. Does that make sense to you as well?
I didn't see Roglic closing a gap himself, but yes, at that point I was like, this is bad because Vlasov was there, Ineos were there, and they had some teammates as well with Thomas, so you could eventually have this group go away. It didn't, it got brought back, and then yes, Wout reattacks, Fulsang Simmons. It eventually, the elastic snaps, no one chases. We have Bennett and Hirschi off the back, 2 minutes behind, chasing back with Volscheid, and if they don't get back on quickly with this tailwind, big OTL risk. Before we get into the second part of the stage, though, the men's Tour de France is now well underway, as you know, which means Tour de France Femme avec Zwift is just around the corner. Zwift are celebrating with a Watch the Fam mission that kicks off tomorrow. Complete up to 8 Watch the Fam events for your chance to unlock in-game kit on Zwift, but also unlock Tour de France Fam avec Zwift leaders jersey signed by their eventual winner. Head to Zwift.com to find out more if you're already signed up, or go on to your Zwift companion app. And if you haven't signed up, go to Zwift.com to start your free 7-day trial. I got a little bit of a luscious locks going, a few greys coming in, but just had to shower after Zwifting watching this finish just to calm down because I was a little bit worked up yesterday. But Wout goes with Fulsang and Simmons. I think it's a bit small, but fine. For one major reason, we have an intermediate sprint halfway through the stage, or 2/3 the way through. That means Wout can take maybe 5 positions on Jakobsen. And he can see maybe they get 6 minutes, because to me, if I'm UAE Benji, I don't care about Wout GC. Wout GC is not a real thing. It never has been for this Tour de France. And Fulsang GC, if I'm UAE, I can live with. The problem for him was EF, Bora, Alpecin, UAE all started pacing with serious riders, with Van Kiersbroek, with Niels Pollitt, with Bjerg, the main rouleur for UAE. I was surprised, Benji. And why do you think each of those teams were pacing?
Well, firstly, I want to talk about Alpecin. It makes 0 sense to me why Alpecin is pacing. Mathieu van der Poel was weak at the start of the stage. The only rider that they could see as a potential leader for this stage and get something out of that is Philipsen. When it comes to the green jersey, we started noticing that while Wout van Aert was taking the big points in the breakaway, Philipsen was winning the sprint for the 4th spot in the peloton for the intermediate sprint. So after 7 days, he's finally decided to go for the green jersey to try and get that 2nd spot in the green jersey classification, just in case Wout crashes, I guess. But that's already one thing. Alpecin makes no sense to me that they keep on going, because that final seemed too hard for me for Philipsen. I think we spoke about it before. That second last
Zero
climb,
chance.
there's just no way.
Zero chance. It's a Van der Poel stage, but he's sick.
I think Adrie van der Poel was probably like, I don't want to see Wout van Aert win. Let's go with Roodhoof.
Seriously.
No,
I'm being I think so.
100%.
Like, not maybe that, but I think Alpecin not happy with Jumbo pacing earlier in the race. Let's put one of our rulers on the front. Fuck you. I think that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, Van der Poel, I'll just quickly on him. I would like to see him DNF. Of course, he's going to go and win a stage now, make me look stupid, but I'd like to see him abandon, recover. He's had a busy season, prepare for the World Championships with a proper altitude camp, and take a really big tilt at the World Champs, which suits him. That's what I think they should do with him. Philipsen, why they didn't go for the intermediate sprints before now, me and Benji said it on stage 2. We were perplexed and remain so, to be honest. It's a bit too late for that now. Anyway, they get to the intermediate sprint. Wout takes it, obviously. At this point, the break has gone 350, and then Pollitt's smashing it. He's bringing it down. It's at 250. Full saying he's like, I'm going to lose time if I don't sit up. I'm going to lose time. And he only lost like 5 seconds today. Incredible performance. And Wout keeps going, Benji, to me inexplicably, because if he gets caught late, which is looking like 90% chance it happens, 95%, he'll get dropped and lose yellow, and he'll lose out on any green jersey points at the finish. And he can't help any of the GC guys. So to me, this looked like they couldn't rein him in, or they weren't thinking about it. Oh, ego on Wout. I don't know what it was, but to me, it just was like, we're here now. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a combination of a sunk cost fallacy, where they are so deep into this that they can't back out, or they are not backing out because they don't see the solution being that splendid anymore anyway. And next to that, an ego thing, and I don't mean that necessarily as a bad thing, as on Wout van Aert is a bad person. No, not at all.
I mean it as a bad thing.
I mean it as in the kind of like move where, oh my God, if I fail now, then everybody's going to make a shame out of this. If I went into this breakaway for 60 kilometers at the start of the stage, but that might have been his mindset. If he sits up at the intermediate,
it looks like a plan.
Yeah, that's true. I think so. And like, it's a combination of that, In my personal opinion, when the stage started, I said it. A larger breakaway with easily getting into it, slipping into it, I think that's a good idea for this, because then you're not taking that much on yourself. But it took a 60-kilometer thing with so many teammates to get this guy in the breakaway. And what would have happened if, for example, the group with Skoens at the start got away and the peloton stopped for a bit? Wout van Aert was initiating the chase again there. So what if that group got away instead of the group with Fulsang, the likes of Wout and so forth? Do you think the peloton would have kept going back then? Because I think if that scenario happens, then it's easily controllable from the peloton as well.
Maybe like Honoré and Moritz bridge to it. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Like, we get those guys trying to be represented. The break goes a lot quicker. UAE are not as active if Wout's not trying to get in the break. They used Kruijswijk to do a lead out in crosswinds to get him in the break. They spent
that was
Kruijswijk.
Awesome to see.
Yeah, sure.
But not clever.
I mean, yeah, the Laporte one was the perfect move, and it didn't go, and it is what it is. Anyway, Wout goes. He's being brought back by a team of 5 rouleurs. The gap is coming down. 25 Ks to go. The GC team starts to get into position. Luke Rowe doing a good job for Ineos on the right-hand side. Bora Hansgrohe, I think, outstanding today. Unbelievable job from Bora Hansgrohe. They faced adversity later. Bahrain moving up, Gradek's probably on minimum wage, moving up Dylan Turns, Pogačar surfing wheels, and McNulty and Micah are there. They're doing a great job for Tadej Pogačar. We get into the finish. Wout is caught on the second climb. The group is all still together. They were shallow gradient. Vlasov has a Vlasov is caught up in a crash, By the way, I think before that, Van Rensburg went down when Roglic and Kuss nearly crashed on the left-hand side. Wout had been caught and dropped immediately at that point. And then the next corner, Vlasov's caught up by a crash. Contrast to Jonas yesterday, goes to his bike, puts the chain back on, 3-second wait, back on, full Bora Hansgrohe straight there, trained it up. Like, unbelievable from Vlasov under pressure. And yeah, so great job from him. And obviously they were planning on him going for the stage. He won a Romandy stage and punchy finish, and that couldn't happen from there. But anyway, we get to the final climb. Roglic is surfing his own wheels. Benoit is working for Jonas on the right-hand side, Van Baal for Ineos, and eventually we see this a little gap, and Pogačar hits it over the top of the steep climb to test everybody. Gaudu marks him, and he stops. I saw Pogačar looking back to see who was gapped. And then the man, Benji, Viermoz, what stage did he win before? The sprint?
Was it Dauphiné?
Yeah, Dauphiné
H2
sprint.
Or something? I think when it comes to Viermoz, the victories that I remember from him, that breakaway stage, but mostly that Muur de Bretagne stage when he had like ages ago in the Tour de France. And that was in a similar fashion. The group of the GC riders had limited domestiques, and therefore he is able to ride away, and the leaders kind of look at each other. And that same scenario happens here, and it's also before the top. He dives into the descent. He's not the best descender in the world. That one corner that he dove into, I thought he was straight up going to crash into a wall, because that was a very close one, but also a very wide corner to take. But in the end, Viermoz was getting paced back by a team, Jumbo-Visma, and
eventually, Benoit's keeping Jonas in front position. Roglic is moving up, trying to move himself up. They get to the final climb. Micah lead out. Then McNulty takes over with 1K to go. It's Pogačar on his wheel. They're running out of menu. Pidcock's got himself on Pogačar's wheel, and there's Matthews there, the best friend of Pogačar, lurking. Jonas is a bit off his wheel. It reminded me of Tirreno Adriatico uphill sprint, where again he was off the wheel of Pogačar, and he'll lose because he'll get gapped off the initial burst. So you have to be on his wheel. And Primoz Roglic, he had the legs I said he might have yesterday on the podcast, where I was sort of tongue-in-cheek. He just had no lead out. He has to move up a lot of positions on the climb, and then he does a lead out from 400 meters to go, like an Orcio Millet attack in front of Pogačar, gives Pogačar a perfect lead out, who says thank you very much, and jumps out of his wheel with 100 to go to win the sprint easily. So I would say absolutely perfect from UAE, except maybe not letting Bennett and Hirschi come back earlier. He didn't get given a time gap, Pogačar. He wins ahead of Matthews, Gaudu, Pidcock, Quintana 5th. RK outstanding again today. They're looking very good. Turn 6th, Vingegaard 7th, Martinez 8th, Roglic 9th, Bardet 10th. Thomas actually loses 5 seconds with Vlasov, Uran, and no one else of relevance. Philipsen is 26 seconds back, so Alpecin complete shambles today. But I would say Pogačar humiliated Jumbo-Visma today.
I think so as well.
All there is to say, really.
I think I want to add a few more things to that. First of all, when it comes to EF, a low-key thing where I think some people might still ask, why was EF pacing? Forgot to mention that earlier. I believe their idea was to get Nils and Paulus an opportunity to get yellow by catching Wout van Aert, dropping Wout van Aert. That part worked, but if Paulus is not good enough to actually compete with a Pogačar, who has a better sprint than Sofov, and also in general is not that great when it comes to being a GC rider compared to the others, then it's going to be a very slim chance to get it. So, I don't know, I think they spend a lot of energy for a very small chance of getting yellow. I don't know.
I didn't mind it.
Okay.
I think
not either. Yeah.
I think after yesterday with Paulus, what happened with him and Bettiol, I think this was a morale thing where they were like, we're sorry for the fuck up yesterday, even though it might not have cost the jersey, but we're sorry for the appearance of it. We're going to go for you today, Nielsen. Bettiol's going to ride for you. He did. I really liked seeing that. So I guess congrats to EF and Vorders for rallying the troops to at least try something today for Paulus. Yeah. I really did like that. Even if, as you say, Benji, like the chance of actually winning is very low. But am I being too harsh on Jumbo?
I don't think you are, but for me, it feels like, I've said this before, I feel like when it comes to Jumbo, the adapting during the race is sometimes not there. And I think that's very visible in this stage especially, where I think if we look at the initial part, of today's stage, we've got the aspect where that breakaway is being formed and so forth. The plan of Wout van Aert from the start is getting in the breakaway, and he was going to do that regardless of anything that happens. And I think there's other scenarios that opened up, like for example, the Laporte move that you mentioned. Like that was a move that could have gone if Van Aert wasn't forcing other moves behind or helping out with other moves behind to try and chase it down. And even scenarios where, like, we spoke about it yesterday. What if a breakaway goes without Wout van Aert? It's not the end of the world for Jumbo. It's like, if a break wins, like, yeah, Wout van Aert loses some green jersey points, but it's a more relaxed stage, and towards the end, you can still try and do something with Roglic and Vingegaard and so forth on these hills. Looking at
Or just
Pogačar today would
defend
have been
with the
very
full
difficult.
team.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
Roglic has taken a big fall yesterday. Like,
Yep.
regroup, defend, or like, I'm sorry, but Wout had his chance, man. Stage 2, 3, 4. One stage 4. Yellow jersey. Green, way ahead of any schedule it could have predicted. Green is, Sagan crashed yesterday. Green is looking magnificent. Like, I know people he sacrificed yesterday for Jonas. Sorry, he was in the second split with 35Ks to go. Sacrificed what?
He's going to have to sacrifice more than one stage to help out GC leaders here. Like, the most important part for Jumbo is the yellow jersey. And stage wins, sorry, but I don't care as much about stage wins as I care about the GC of the Tour de France, because it's clearly a lot more important. Even the green jersey, less important. So I think Wout van Aert should sacrifice a lot of things for his team in this race. And I think today...
But for green, it's better to stay in the group after the intermediate. Okay, yeah, I get it. You find yourself in the break, whatever. Green, it's better to stay in the group.
Yeah.
Even if you do the lead out and then the GC guys come over, you come 5th to 7th, 8th, whatever, you still get a bucket load of points.
I want to add one more thing when it comes to the final. When it comes to Roglic and Pogačar, we know that Roglic lead out happened for Pogačar basically. Wasn't on purpose, but he launched early and therefore let out Pogačar. It's as simple as that. But the thing is, I felt like his positioning, a climb earlier, he keeps getting pushed to the back before every little small hill. And it's I'm starting to notice it's such a weakness for Roglic, because it brings him in a position where he needs to fight to get up there first. And then he needs to have the energy to still beat people. And it's something that is not working. And we've seen it in the Poggio, the Cipressa. We've seen it, I think, on the raid of Wout van Aert. Was it 2 days ago? Yesterday? 2 days ago. I don't even know at this point. 2 days ago. Yes. The Wout van Aert raid on the big climb and so forth towards the end. Like, these are moments where Roglic starts those climbs in such a bad position technically, because he just pushed to the back every single time. And today we see the same near that last climb. I was thinking it was dropped. I couldn't see him on the screen. Then he suddenly popped up on the bottom, then on the right, and suddenly was back at the front. So he must have had the energy to come back to the front of that group again and then fight again. But I think positioning is a big issue.
Where's Kruijswijk?
Yep.
Van Hooijdonk looks very, very tired. Van Aert's been in an exposure move the whole day. And Benoit, by the way, MVP, Benoit, unbelievably good today, but he can't ride for 2 leaders. And I accept that. And maybe it was going to be Koos, because Koos got involved in that crash Benji mentioned. But when you have 2 leaders you're trying to protect, that means you need double the resources protecting them. And we know that, as Benji said, Roglic losing the wheel is a problem. Now, you probably, like the Belgian public, Benji, the other side of the coin is this. Why should the team invest in Roglic and protecting him when he's just going to crash, he's just going to fail, and you can have Wout in yellow? Why would you deny him opportunities or other opportunities? I guess from my perspective, I think the team, the staff, Roglic, Jonas, everyone probably has worked too hard to have given up going for GC, but for both of them, when he's just 2 minutes back after stage 5. Like, I still think, okay, he lost another 10 seconds today, but because mainly Benji, for Jonas to win the Tour, he needs Roglic to be a real threat. Like, I don't see head-to-head or 1v1 battle with Pogačar that playing out as easily. But I guess I want to give A few more props to Pogačar. He goes into the yellow jersey after stage 6, 4 seconds out of Powers, 31 ahead of Vingegaard, takes 10 more on him. Yates on 39, Pidcock on 40, Thomas 46, Vlasov 52, Martinez a minute, Ineos 4 on the top 10, Bardet 101, Gudu 102, Quintana 105, Mas 112. Looking through for more GC men. Caruso 211, Uran 214, Roglic 227. So, yeah, I think it's only 10 seconds. It's a dominant Pog stage win. I think UAE will be very happy. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
also,
you got any thoughts on Pog?
I think the move of Wout van Aert, we're isolating it as Wout van Aert just going in the breakaway, losing his jersey. Like, I don't give a fuck when it comes to him losing his jersey today compared to tomorrow. Like, that jersey is worth nothing just wearing that yellow jersey. For me personally, in the race, like, yeah, as a rider, that's fun. Sure, an extra day is fun, but compared to the grand scheme of things, it's worth nothing compared to actually fighting for the actual yellow jersey. And I think him going in that breakaway and sustaining in that breakaway towards the end not only made it worse for him, but made it worse for the team, I think, in the second half of the race. Because, like you said, towards the end, Benoit was the man that was doing work for 2 leaders at the end. If Wout still has energy after going for green, he stops, he stays in the peloton full song wise. I don't even know where full song ended, by the way. But
On
when it
5
comes
seconds
to
with
like
Thomas and Vlasov.
if Wout waits, takes a piss together with Fulsang, perhaps with a solid gap in between just for privacy purposes, then they might actually have Wout van Aert there to support the team of Jumbo in the final, where it is needed when it comes to positioning his teammates that are still going for the stage. And I think that's where the biggest mistake is made, I think, because not only does he kind of ruin his own race a bit, he I don't blame Wout personally. Like, I think this is a team decision as well. I think he should have just been called back after the intermediate sprint, and that would have made everything look better.
Yeah, and I guess as you say, like he's going to lose it on Planche, the yellow jersey tomorrow anyway. I would say why not keep it an extra day and see what you can do on the finish? Because I think if he comes past, Pogačar was stalled on the front, by the way. He was about to get swamped. That was the problem with Roglic's move because it's like
Yep.
it really hurt Jonas. It really hurt him because Jonas was trying to move up whilst Pogačar didn't want to lead himself out, and Roglic provided him the lead out, and then that was that. So, whereas I think if Wout brings Roglic up with speed in a draft, maybe we have something different. But anyway, we've
A
harped on Jumbo a
question.
bit too long. Go on, sir.
I've got some more about Jumbo, I'm afraid. If you look at the final climb, if you look at that final hill, and we see that Jonas and Primoz are both in that group, what would be the issue? Would it be a team dynamic issue? If you say to Jonas, today you're doing the lead out for Primoz because he has a better chance of getting the bonus seconds than you have, to get that away. Sure, you're technically in the domestique role for a bit, but you're still leader. It's just because you have less chance of actually getting those bonus seconds. Is that a thing that you consider as doable?
No, because he's closer on GC, and 4 seconds is not going to change Roglic's race.
Yeah.
And Jonas could lose time if he does a lead out, if there's a
Okay.
split. So no, I would not do that. Maybe Roglic was doing a reverse lead out for Jonas. He was trying to make Pogačar close him, but it was a little bit too close to the line for that. Tomorrow, 176k stage from Tomblain to La Superplanche de Bellefille, 7Ks, 8.5%. It's called Superplanche because it is got an extra K on it at 10.3%. The finish, it's a 20-minute climb. It's gravel at the end. Bora Hansgrohe really need to invest in Vlasov this stage. This is the perfect climb to Vlasov. For Vlasov, if you read Gabriel's article on the climbs of the Tour de France, linked below, you will see that he won a very similar climb in Valenciana, the Mike Motibi one, which was 20 minutes gravel, steep last kilometer where he cracked Remco. This is very, very similar. And he did like 6.4 maybe. He's good on these climbs. And they have the team for it. Conrad, Grosschartner, Kemner, Pollitt to position them into the base, Schachmann. This is it for them to get a big stage win and for him to take time on Thomas Benji, because I think Vlasov full beans, even though I think Thomas has done, I don't know, maybe Thomas has done well here before, but I think they got to go all in for Vlasov to really, is Roglic really okay?
Yeah,
Let's find out.
I think so as well. I think they certainly spotted the weaknesses in Jumbo today, and I think they're going to try and use that to their advantage. Everybody that's fighting for the podium sees an opportunity for that third podium spot, if not the second podium spot, if everything goes wrong at some point for Jumbo. And therefore, they should try and do stuff. But the question then is, are they actually going to control the stage beforehand? If we speak about that stage, we're saying it's 180 kilometers. It's relatively low. It's an average stage. Let's be honest about it. But there's nothing really happening before Super Planche de Belfield. So I also see the possibility of a break winning this stage.
Well, so what you do is you get one of Kemner, Conrad, Groschartner, or Schachmann, their marking moves slipping into breaks, and then maybe they get in one and they don't work too much. And that's the problem. It was discussed in the article. They brought the team, the super medium mountain team, to win from the break. So that's a really tough balance for Bora Hansgrohe, an embarrassment of riches for them. Roglic, you would say this is, in normal conditions, the perfect climb for Roglic. 20 minutes, steep finish, absolutely perfect for him. UAE are in the yellow jersey, so they have the obligation, I guess, to pace a little bit more. I don't know, Benji. I thought it was going to be a break originally, and I think Pog just won the stage. I don't see UAE pacing for the stage. That's just too much. No, they're not going to. Alberson won't pace again. EF won't pace again. Bora, they might have guys in the break. I still think break on balance should win this stage. If you or UAE, would you want to give yellow away now?
I'm not. Before the Alp stages, that would actually be a clever move. I'd say yes. I'd say you're trying to give the jersey away, and I think that a breakaway would be the best scenario for that. Is anybody going to try avoid the fact that if UAE, let's say UAE says breakaway, go, you can get the jersey. Will there be another team that says I will control it instead, and we'll try and make sure that Poggy stays in the yellow jersey for those Alps? I don't think that effort is worth it either. So I see an opportunity for someone to go in the breakaway and gain enough time to actually get the yellow jersey if they're not dangerous enough to actually cause everybody else to start chasing again. And if I think about riders like that, I'm thinking about I don't know, has Wout and Barguil crashed or stuff like that? Those type of riders, you know?
Barguil was on the cobbles yesterday. He was pacing for Nairo when Jumbo were chasing.
Okay.
He's on Arkea, right? The same team, not Cofidis.
Or is he riding for Nairo tomorrow?
True. Nairo's got those boys locked in and dialed. They don't have an inch to move. He's fucking a drill sergeant, man. He's got 6 lined out. I love it. Nairo, come on, can't wait for the Alps, making it through safe. I like Turns has to get in the break tomorrow with Moric. It's just a non-negotiable, as well as Baggioli or Honore for Quickstep, although I don't think their climbing is good enough. Where's Woods on GC? Benji, please be far back on GC.
Michael Woods is 42nd on 5 minutes 37, so that's
okay.
Possible.
I'd like another little 3 minutes, but he'll be letting the break in all seriousness, surely, right? That's fine.
I think so as well.
I'm going with Woods.
Okay, you're going with Woods. Okay, I thought there was going to be a majestic explanation after that, but it's straightforward. You're going for Woods.
Steep finish.
How about Chris Froome?
No, I don't know about that. Froome might be in the break with him as a rouleur.
That's possible. That's very possible. Pierre Latour, 12:46 behind. I think that's possible. But he'll probably just attack. Get out of here. I think he'll attack on the flat before the climb in his usual meme attack kind of way. But yeah, I do want to ask, we've spoken about tomorrow's stage now. What's your overall feeling about this Tour de France now? Because at the start of this podcast, you said, I've lost my hope a bit when it comes to Jumbo. Do you feel like the competition for the actual yellow jersey is less than yesterday evening?
No, it's more because Roglic had good shape. So if Jumbo-Visma were tactically perfect and Jonas wins the stage today and takes 4 bonus seconds on Pogačar, but Roglic, like in stage 7 last year, he got dropped when Carapaz attacked on that steep little kicker when Movistar chased him back and he loses 10 minutes. That's a much worse position. So no, there are positives in that Roglic's shape is good. It's just whether they can correct course and dial in the team. Because, like, at this point, like, why shouldn't Kuss get in the break tomorrow to go for the stage? Like, why
Well,
not?
because they want to keep as many guys in their team because they've still got 2 leaders because of the thing
But
we just
Wout
said
didn't
in today's
today.
podcast. Well, that it became an issue.
Well, if you want to, yeah, like, anyway, why can't Kuss get in the break? Like, is what I say for the finish tomorrow. Like, it sounds stupid,
GC
but
Chris.
why not? Like, if we're going to balance it. Anyway, yeah, I like Woods. I think Israel have come to this tour in good shape. Like, if you see a rider win the Roubaix stage, like
Mhm.
Clark, good rider, and then you see Fuglsang sprightly today, also sprightly in Roubaix. I think the team is in good shape. So I think Woods takes it. Vlasov, though, and Bora are just really the team to watch out for tomorrow to animate the race. I think they have the best team overall to control, to pace. And I don't think, I don't know, if I'm Pogačar, Benji, this isn't the stage to make the kill shot. I don't think. Maybe it is. Maybe he doesn't like Ineos, how close they are. But yeah, I think, or maybe he thinks he can take 15, 20 on Jonas, but I don't think you need to pace the break back to
Yep,
do that.
agreed.
Do you have anyone else? You haven't named anyone, or did you name Pierre de la Tour?
I think I named Pierre Latour, but I don't know what happened to Ciccone. He's like on 22 minutes. Not sure if it's taking time on purpose
Kirsch
or whether he's
abandoned too.
actually. Yeah, okay. It's not looking good in that regard then. But there's just. What do you think Ben O'Connor will do? He's now on 7 minutes 02. I
Wait,
think
what?
he's going to go in the breakaway again. I think he lost 2 minutes and a bit again today.
Damn,
I
I
think he
didn't
should
know
go in
that.
the breakaway and try 2021 again.
It might be a bit early for that, like it might be.
Alps?
Yeah, I reckon Alps is the one to do that.
But
Tomorrow he'll be marked.
is the Alps not more dangerous for the fact that GC teams might be more eager to ride that day to try and do stuff?
I don't know. I didn't know he's on 7 minutes.
Aw, the quokka is crying.
Yeah, that's a shame. My mate crashed out with a broken wrist today, and now O'Connor's on 7 minutes. Been tough 24 hours. Not, well, I complain like it's worse for
Oh,
them, obviously, but
yesterday,
yeah,
yesterday,
yes.
Clark won, and you said there was a sad day for Australians.
Yeah, well, Ewan crashed, Hay crashed out,
Yeah,
O'Connor lost. But yeah,
I get it.
I agree. Clark, but that was good. It's a good point, Benji, and it's something to watch out for. I really see stage 9 as the one for him to do that with.
Miguel?
No, that's 10.
Oh, wait.
9 is the 16K 7% climb, but then it levels
Oh,
off.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of not there for GC.
The Lutsenko stage.
Yeah. I would go, if I was O'Connor, that's the one, I
Yeah.
think. But Nielsen Powless, will they let Nielsen Powless in the break? If
How
I'm
close is.
UAE, I let him take yellow. I say, please take it.
Please take it by
Yeah.
7 minutes. Nah. But the problem is he's so close that they might actually have to start chasing at a certain point. Like,
Oh, you mean
if
he's
you.
not on it? If he's on 90 seconds, you can give him 5 minutes, and then he wins by 2 minutes, and then he's only 30 ahead.
Exactly. And like if it's a rider that's on 5 minutes, you can even give them 10 minutes. Like you don't have to start pacing as quickly, so you have to invest less to control the riders in the break. If Paulos goes, which is on 4 seconds, then you're basically forcing yourself to start chasing relatively early or start
Yeah,
controlling
you're
them
right.
relatively early.
Anyway, I like Woods. Hope he wins. I'd love to see it because I want to see Israel, Bike Exchange, and EF stay up, even though Archaea are doing a nice job. In fact,
Mhm.
that would be, yeah. Anyway, I hate the relegation system. I'm over it already, even though I've been covering it for 6 months. Okay, that's all from us today. Thanks to Zwift for supporting the podcast. We'll be back with La Super Planche de Belfi tomorrow. Mike Woods raising his hands in the air. Vlasov maybe taking time. We'll see you then. Ciao.